All right, we're now continuing in the Dvar Malchut. It's speeches given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1991. This is also shortly before he had a stroke that rendered him paralyzed and unable to speak for the next whatever year and a half. Until Gimel Tammuz, when the Rebbe just disappeared. You can say that he passed away, whatever you want to say. And, the raising of the dead will bring back all of the Jews. There's no doubt about it. And especially those, like it says, Yaakov didn't die. And anyway, what exactly is going on, we'll find out, but it'll be good. Meanwhile, we have the wisdom of the Rebbe that we have not yet brought into complete fruition. So let's do it. Here we go. And what's the Rebbe talking about? The Rebbe is reminding us that Rosh HaShanna is the day that man was created, and the whole purpose of man was to bring completion to the creation. And like we said before, the Rebbe is trying to get us and not complacent with the world, to be dissatisfied with the world as it is now. And to change it, to do something about it. On the other hand, the only way you can change it is by being positive. And the only way you can be positive is by being certain that what we do has an effect and that for sure we're going to succeed. But we have to do it. What do we have to do? We have to do what God says. What's going to be in the future? The future is going to be a perfect world. Infinitely greater and more beautiful than anything we can possibly imagine. Just like man, the first man, Adam, before he ate from the tree, he was perfect. It was perfect. He knew that God made him. He knew that every second was brand new. He knew that everything in the world is a big miracle. And his job was to serve God. La'avda l'shamra. God put him in the garden to work on it. And the ultimate perfection of man is when he can serve God, when he can do things to elevate the world. How the world had to be elevated in the beginning, before Adam ate from the tree, it says it was in heaven. Adam was heaven on earth, Gan Eden. How? I don't know, but it's going to be. For sure, it's going to be like a person that's in a coma and he wakes up, or even more so that, Uncle Joe, that everybody loved him. All of a sudden, did you hear about Uncle Joe? Yeah, I know he died a couple of weeks ago. Well, he's not dead. What do you mean? He rose up from the dead. He rose up from the dead. I didn't want to startle you, but what are you talking about? Uncle Joe is alive? Wow, I liked him so much. He's such a wonderful person. Can he be that he's really alive? Are you joking around with me? Okay, are you ready? Here, look, a couple pictures of Uncle Joe. Remember this? Let's get ready. Okay, Uncle Joe, open the door. Opens the door. There he is. Wow, I don't believe it. This is amazing, right? Came back from the dead. Well, everybody's going to come back from the dead. Because right now we're dead. Right now we're dead. We don't feel God. We don't feel the truth. And that's the job of man, especially on Rosh Hashanah. That's what we do. We'll reveal the kingship of God, Dargat Elokut, a level of revelation of God, She'ein Aruch, which is incomparable to the world. Ubefrat, and especially to what's known, Sheshorish Malchut, that the source of God's kingship, right? That's what we just finished learning in Lakuti Torah, is above all of the other sfirot. God's kingship. God's kingship, the lowest aspect of God, comes from the highest aspect of God, what's called God's crown. That's the idea of God, making God a king. On until Penimiyut Keter. People won't care about their belongings and the raising of the dead. But on the Penimiyut Keter, to the inside of God's crown. Ad the Mahuto Vatzmuto, the essence of God will be revealed in the world. Okay, so what's the Rebbe trying to do now? He's trying to tell us that God is trying to send us all sorts of hints. at this, like the metaphor I just made up about Uncle Joe being alive. So to get ready for it, everybody said, here, everybody look at pictures of Uncle Joe, and and just get yourself sort of a little bit ready for Uncle Joe's going to open the door, and there he is. What? Wow, Uncle Joe, a fellow of infinite jest, how I loved him. Here he is. This is amazing, right? So we're going to see the same thing with the creator of the universe. The creator of the universe that was so evident to Adam will be revealed to us also. Yesh, let's see if we can also add on. Here, now we're going to get some of these hints. These two things, that the world will be complete, and how this all depends by means of our work, of what we do. God's not going to do it on his own. This is hinted at also in Pirkei Avot. In Pirkei Avot that we learn on the Shabbat. We learn in Shabbat the ethics of the fathers. We finish it by Rosh HaShanna. So this Shabbat, we learn the last two chapters, 5th and the 6th. The 5th and the 6th chapter. There's 6 chapters of Pirkei Avot. The beginning of the 5th chapter says in 10, remember with 10, we learned, that's what we're learning at 3 o'clock. With 10 utterances, God created the world. God created the world with 10 utterances. This is the completion, which is as far as the creation goes. 10 utterances, God created the world. This is godliness that God made, like what God did. That's like the world that Adam was put into, a perfect world, right? Well, not exactly. It was perfect in the sense that it had everything that it needed, but man had to come along and arrange it in a more perfect way. He had to work on it. So the 5th chapter, that talks about the creation of the world. The 6th chapter of Pirkei Avot talks about Shanu Chachamim, the wise men of the Torah. By means of working at the Torah, like it says, all of your children learn the Torah, Limudei Hashem, they learn the wisdom of God, that's the Torah. When they learn Mishnah, and especially when they learn the Mishnah, which is connected to the future redemption, Nasit Geula, Me'amedida, Hagbala. So if so, the 5th chapter of Pirkei Avot is talking about the creation of the world in 10 utterances. The 5th chapter, the last chapter, the 6th, that begins with what the wise men did, the holy men of the Talmud, what they did. They made they elevate the world even more. They take the world as it is, that's measured and limited of the world in 10 commandments, but they increase it. They reveal the king himself in the world. That's what the Torah does. The creator. Like it says in the end of the 6th chapter, Kol Masha Bora Kodesh Baruch Hu. This is the end of Pirkei Avot. It says everything that God created in this world, Lo Boro, he didn't create it except for his glory. Like it says, everything that's called in my name, Ula Kavodi, and for my glory, Barati, I created it, I formed it, and I also made it. Omer Hashem, Yimloch Lalam, what it says that God will rule forever and ever. Kavana, what does it mean? The whole intention, why God made the world. Right? God made the world, it was perfect, but why did he make the world? That was not evident. Is Hosafa Shanasa, the Avodas Adam, my means of a person, the Galos Ba'olam, to reveal God's glory, the kingship of Hashem, which is infinitely greater and more real than the old world as it is now. Revealing the creation, in the creation, to reveal the creator, this is infinitely greater. It's very difficult for us to understand this whole business, all business. Because let's say, for instance, you have a beautiful composition of Beethoven. You say, here's the beautiful composition of Beethoven, everything, the crowd is crying and everything. And here's something even greater than the composition. Here's Beethoven himself. So Beethoven is not more beautiful than his composition is. Beethoven, everybody will clap, this is amazing, this is wonderful. But you don't see any greatness in the person. On the other hand, when you hear the music, you see the greatness. The same thing, you might think the world, that reveals godliness. But God, he's just like the composer. That's no big deal. But the fact is it's not so. It's not so. It would be like, let's say, instead of you have the composition by this great composer, and you say, now we're going to reveal to you the source of beauty and harmony. Harmony itself, beauty itself is going to be revealed to you. That you just heard this beautiful symphony, that's just a little tiny example of beauty, a little tiny example of harmony. Right? Look how it made you cry, how everybody was emotional. Right? That was the 1 hour of beauty. And in one little place, and an orchestra of 100 pieces. Right? Think if you could reveal the essence, eternal beauty all the time. Huh? Something like that. The fact is, this example I just gave is also not good because there's a creator of beauty also. Right? God creates this source of beauty also. We have no idea what this means, but basically it means that the creator can only be revealed here in the creation. And all of those upper worlds, which are infinitely greater revelations of pleasure and beauty or whatever than this world, that's just like nothing. This world is infinitely greater. What does that mean? We don't know what heaven is. We have no idea what's going on in heaven. And for sure we don't know what God is, but God is infinitely good. And that's what we want to be revealed in the world. So God created the world is really amazing, it's really beautiful. That's like the symphony. And it's even like the source, let's say the spiritual worlds, that's the source of the beauty of the symphony. But to create that should be revealed, the source of the whole business, that's what our job is by means of the Torah. Ulai, maybe we can say, and that's stressed by the 6th chapter of Pirkei Avot, that the wise men, the Chachamim, Ulai yesh la'ir, we can say what it says in Chamishi V'Shishi, when we read this week also, we read the 5th and the 6th chapter of Pirkei Avot together, because we finish it before Rosh HaShanna. That this shows when you 5 and 6 together, that's 11. 11, this shows on what God created the world with 10 utterances, but God is one above the 10 utterances. Antu Chad, you are one without any count. You can't be computed. Oneness. Lamayla Me'asa Sfiros, higher than all the 10 Sfirot, above all the 10 utterances, which correspond to the 10 Sfirot. God is 11. He's above all of the words, even the 10 commandments that the Torah is attached to the 10 commandments, and the 10 utterances, right, that God created the world with, and the 10, they're connected to the 10 commandments. All this level of God's oneness, 11. This is revealed all by means of me and you, our service of the Jewish people, learning the Torah and following what it says, actually what it says in the Torah. Like it says, Echad Asar Yomi Chorev. Like it says, it was 11 days from Chorev. Chorev is Mount Sinai. Then in Matan Torah, when God gave the Torah on Chorev, on Mount Sinai, it was given the 10 commandments. The 10 commandments, that's the Torah which is relevant to the world. And from Chorev, what does it mean? From Chorev, when they go from just the Torah, namely they start to serve God with the Torah they received, then they can reveal this number 11, Echad Esrei, 1/10. This is the level of the Torah as it is above the world. Until we get to how the Torah is in God's essence. Like it says, Antu Chad B'lo B'chushman, God, you are one without any counting. So the job of the Jewish people then is to reveal not only the Creator and His creation, but also to reveal the Torah, the reason for the creation in the creation, the Torah, and even more to reveal the giver of the Torah in the lowest part in the creation. Is this just, just a fantasy? This is just, what is it? How many angels can dance on the head of a pin? What are we talking about over here? The Rebbe is trying to get into our head how tremendously important and potent that we are to do good in the world. To do bad, we already know, right? We already know there's atomic bombs. I got one fool can press a little button, he can destroy it. The power of destruction we know we can do. Have we any idea how much good we can do? Huh? as far as I know, I mean, I'm not, a big aficionado, what is it called, of science fiction. But these science fiction books, they don't talk about good, revealing good. There's always somebody can destroy somebody else by this, and everybody's afraid, and you have to make war. To improve the world, to make the world into a perfect place, to improve every human being, to bring out the essence good in every human being. The essence good in having a family and having a job and helping others, in every detail of the world, to reveal the godliness in it. We don't know what that is. And we will know what it is. We'll experience it. That's what the Rebbe is saying is hinted at over here by the fact that Rosh Hashanah falls out on Monday and Tuesday, Yom Sheni and Shlishi. We said that was Pat Bag HaMelech. Remember, we said this is also this idea that we, by means of us, we improve the creation even more than it was when it was created in the beginning. This is especially when Rosh Hashanah falls on the second and third day of the month, which we said that was hinted at, the rabbis say, by the sentence in Bag HaMelech, Pat Bag HaMelech. Again, anybody doesn't know what that means, it's right in the beginning of the book of Daniel, like the 5th sentence or something. And the book of Daniel starts off that Nebuchadnezzar, he destroys the temple, and he takes everybody in imprisonment, and he takes all the wise men of Israel and he puts them in his court because he wants to improve his court a little bit. And Nebuchadnezzar, he was the king of the world for a while, so he was a pretty talented guy. So he recognized greatness and he wanted something new, right? Instead of the same old wise men that he had, he wanted a new type of wisdom. So it says that he took the wise people of Israel. There was Daniel and his 3 friends, right? What is it? Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah. And he changed their names and he gave them this special good food. It says pot bag. He gave the special pot bag. There's different interpretations of what it is, but they all agree. It's the pot bag of milk, this special bread or food or something of the king. Obviously, it was kosher, right? They did it according to their standards. Maybe let them prepare it. I don't know. In any case, so he gave them this pot bag. So from the rabbis say, from this we learn a melech, that's talking about Rosh Hashanah, when we make God a king. And Beit Bay, that pot bag, that's Yom Sheni and Yom Shlishi, Monday and Tuesday. If Rosh Hashanah falls out on Monday and Tuesday, then this is the closest that it can be on the day that the world began to be created, Yom Rishon. That this is the whole completion of the creation. On the whole 6 days of creation, like it was on the first day. On the first day of creation, it says that God created the world with 10 utterances, right? 10 times. If you look in the book of Genesis, right there in the beginning, it says 10 times Vayomer. The God said Vayomer, Vayomer. That's the 10 utterances that God created the world with, right? Well, if you count them, you'll find that there are not 10. There's only 9. Count them, recount them backwards, forwards. Vayomer Hashem, Vayomer, God said, let there be light, let there be a firmament, let there be animals, let there be this, let there be birds. It only says 9 times. How did he get number 10? So it says the word Breshit, the first word, that's also one of God's utterances. And it says Breshit, and this word Breshit is hinted at a lot of things. There's a book called Tikuni Zohar, where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he brings down 70 different explanations of the word Breshit, Kabbalistic explanations of the word Breshit. So it says when God said Breshit, he was one in the world. It said that word Breshit contained everything. So that's the first day. We're celebrating Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the 6th day of creation, when man was created. But it's really a remembrance for that first day. The first day was the most miraculous. God made something from nothing. All the other days, he just took this something that he made on the first day and he just developed it to be more something. So on the first day, God was alone in his world. Mudgash, this is especially the creation of the world by means of God. That's the first day. The first Rosh Hashanah can never fall out on Sunday. After they fixed the calendar, Hillel fixed the calendar, so it comes out Rosh Hashanah can never fall out on Sunday. It can't fall on Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday. Adu. Aleph, Dalet, Vav. Ein Adu Rosh. So it can't fall on Sunday. The closest that Rosh Hashanah can be on Sunday to Sunday, the day when the creation really began, is when Rosh Hashanah falls on Monday, which is that like this year. So this, if so, this is showing what God did, and this also it shows, indicates on that what God did is great, but man, we're here to improve it. This being said, the Shlilas of Sharos confused the Rosh Hashanah. This is because it shows that Rosh Hashanah can never be on Sunday. Elo adu Rosh. Why? Because God's day is Sunday. God created the Yom Rishon. Yom Rishon, that's God's day. He created the world. And we're here to add something on. Therefore, Rosh Hashanah can never be on the first. It's always going to be on number 2. The days that come after, we're adding something on. That's the thing of Bag HaMelech. Beit and Gimel to the king. The explanation means like this. Okay, just so we don't get too geflagrant over, too, spaced out. The Rebbe is trying to point out how important we are. Mavur b'Midrash, it says that on the second day was created argument. Another opinion. B'Yom Shlishi, and the third day was created harmony. God created the world. On the first day, God was alone. Second day, there was something seemingly other than God. On the third day, there was harmony between them. What does this mean as far as we're going? This idea of machloket, of argument, of, what do you say? The opposite of opposition, of the second day, this is because that God concealed himself by making the world. Olam, Helam, like we said before, that God concealed himself with the world. That's number 2, second day. Because when God was on the first day, that God was alone in his world, then this is because from God's point of view, God was alone, right? The world was, so to speak, contained in God. But when God created the world, right, on the first day, the world itself was one with God. We were one with God. But the world itself, when did that come to be? That was separate. When God made the world, he made, so to speak, something that was separate from him, so to speak. That's the way he wanted it. The novelty of the third day, it says that this opposition was negated. It was made harmony. There was peace between the world, the creation, and the creator. Namely, in such a way that the world itself agreed with God. The world did not oppose God anymore. That's the third day. So the second day was created opposition. And the third day was created harmony. Somebody said it was a thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. You ever heard that before? Pretty neat. First day is thesis, that's God. Then the second was antithesis, the opposite, so to speak, of God, the creation. And the third day, there was synthesis, everything came back together. Take it or leave it. I don't know if that's really, it's impressive though, right? Ali they avodah some shal Yisrael, by means of the Jewish people doing the Torah, that both of them, the Jewish people and the Torah, are called number 3. Why? Because the Torah is always 3. The Torah is 3. There's Torah and Nevi'im, Ketuvim, and the Jewish people are 3. There's Yisrael, Levi, and Cohen. Number 3, number 3rd, that's what's the deciding factor in any argument. A judge between the two of them, because he contains both opposite sides, and he makes some sort of a peace between, like the rabbis say, that the Jewish people, they are called Shulamit, the Jewish people, because they are a nation that makes peace between me, God is saying this, and the world, by means of their service of doing Torah and the commandments. And that's if the Jews do what they're supposed to do. If they don't, then let's think positive. Deeper, the whole intention why there was this opposition argument on the second day is to make arguments in holiness. In Judaism, in a way, there's nothing better than arguments, different opinions, diversity. Diversity is precious. Diversity is the world. In heaven, everything is pretty much the same. In this world, there's different opinions, and that's what makes things grow. Competition, that's the evil thing of communism, socialism, no competition. Competition is a wonderful thing. Despite what the communists say and this, competition is a wonderful thing. Of course, it has to be honest, has to be this, but competition is good. Why is it good? Because it encourages people to bring out their essence, victory. People want to be victorious over the other person. Ideally, it means that you want the other person to learn from you also, to be jealous of your victory, that he'll increase even more, etc. That's the 5th chapter of Pirkei Avos that we learn now. It says that the machlokas, that there's an argument for the sake of God, is going to be eternal. It's a good thing. This is the argument between Hillel and Shammai. The arguments that are in the Talmud, this is in a way infinitely good. It shows the different sides. First of all, it shows the different sides of it. And secondly, it encourages you to express your uniqueness. A person could say, who am I? The big rabbi is talking, right? I'm going to go up to him and say a different opinion. I'm going to this, right? It could be, it says, ain't a baishin lomet. If you go up to the rabbi and say, listen, Rabbi, I heard what you had to say, but I don't agree. I think it's like this. The rabbi said, wow, I didn't think about that. 1 second, we're going to talk about, I don't think you're right. You sure? I mean, why don't you think I'm right? Because of this and this. You say, yeah, but what you just said, I don't think that's valid. But you have an argument. Oh, from this comes out the truth. This is an argument of the Torah. There's certain things you just have to accept because God says. There's certain things you have to, right? God says, don't kill, don't steal, that's it. You can't say, but I want to kill my next door neighbor, drives over my lawn. It says in the Torah, you're not supposed to. That's it, don't ask questions, right? But other things you're supposed to ask, right? Even that, you can go to the court, rabbi, and say, I don't understand, my next door neighbor drives over my lawn. You know how many blades of grass he kills? I think I have the right to kill him. I don't understand why, right? It says in the 10 Commandments, don't kill. It means grass also. Doesn't it mean grass? He's killing he even drove over one of my pansies, my flowers. He drove over. I can kill. So he says, good question. Good question. I'm happy he asked. But the fact of the matter is that God said you're not. That's it. Certain things you can ask, certain things you can't ask. But the argument and questioning is good. The whole reason is that comes from what's called chesed and gevura, God's severity and God's kindness. To be lenient or to be severe. Peace between the two, this comes from drawing down something which is higher than both of them. This is a higher aspect of the Torah which is above both of them. Therefore, it can include both of them together. That's why the Shulchan Aruch is so important, because it comes to conclusions. Hainu sha'al yedei avodas by means of the service of the Jewish people when they learn and they do the Torah and they draw down and actually the commandments in a revealed way in the world, not just the Torah that's relevant to the world, but also the level of the Torah which is above the world. They draw into the world until the Torah as it is in God's essence. This draws down a unity between all of the opposites. I mean, just imagine if you went to an orchestra, you went to a concert, and there was a 500-piece orchestra, 500-piece orchestra. All of them are playing clarinets. Everyone, 500 clarinets. It'd be the worst thing possibly in the world, right? Hell must be something like that. Go down to that 500 clarinet. Alpis, according to this, it's understood the Kaviyas of Rosh HaShanna. When we say Rosh HaShanna, diversity is also when if it comes together. If they all play something different, then it's terrible. But if they're harmonious, then it's very beautiful. And that's the idea what the Torah is supposed to be. The world is so diverse. The Torah comes to make peace between God, the Creator, who is one, The creation, which seems to be separate from God, is so diverse, and the Torah unites them both together to be harmonious. According to this, now we can understand why Rosh HaShanna, when it calls on the second and third day, which is right next to the first day. The first day is when God began to create the world. But the first day itself, that's God's day. That's God alone. But when Rosh Hashanah falls down on the second day and the third day, so now it's explained the main thing of Rosh Hashanah, the king, Bag HaMelech. The main thing of the king of God is that he wants to be a world and he wants us to work in the world. That's the whole thing. That we complete the creation by means of God, right? The creation, we complete the creation. Agam Olam is the world on its own, not because how God made it and God is alone, that the world on its own, and the world is, which seems to be something which differs and disagrees with God, right? Because God is one, and the world seems to scream out, "What do you mean? We're one. We're the creator. We created ourselves," in such a way that the world will agree with God. Lo rak dargas alakus, not just the level of godliness is just relevant to the world. Yachid ba'olamo, the oneness of God, like it was on the first day, but also the aspect of God which is incomparably higher than the world, that makes peace between the world and God. So God is revealed in his world. That's what he wants. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow, let us go. It says, by the way, in the raising of the dead, that everybody's going to raise up from the dead with their diseases. Whatever they died from, people have died. They'll raise up with their disease. We talked about this. It says, God said, I kill and I make alive. I'll raise the dead. And then it says, I made people sick and I'll heal them afterwards. Anyway, we'll see what it is when it comes out. Okay, let us do the Yom Yom. There was a time when every little saying that was heard was regarded a teaching in life. Right? It doesn't make any difference who saw it, who said it. I'm sorry. You heard something, wherever you heard it saying, "Oh, what does this mean to me? How can this help me to serve God better?" And everything a person saw was perceived as an instruction in service of God and conduct. There's a story. I'll give you an example. There was a story that once a wagon driver. It was in the middle of the winter in Russia. I guess these were the pupils of the Baal Shem Tov, and his wagon got stuck in the mud. So he went into the place where all the boys were learning and said, "Come help me push my wagon out of the mud." So the boys, they didn't want to go first of all, they didn't want to stop learning, and they didn't want to go into the mud and get all dirty and push this guy's wagon. Maybe it didn't even work. Who knows? Maybe it could. So they said, "We can't. We can't." And the wagon driver said, "No, don't say you can't. You don't want to." In Russian, it is mojits, nie mojits. We're not able. It says, don't say nie mojits, no chochits. Don't say that we're not able to. You just don't want to. I think afterwards they went and they helped her, but the point is they came back, and the teacher, I think it was the Baal Shem Tov, said, this is a very deep lesson. Sometimes we think we're not able to do things. I'm not able to learn. I'm not able to do commandments. I'm not able to give charity. I'm not able. It says not that you're not able. You just don't want to. So from a little tiny word from a person, you can learn a tremendous lesson in life. Now shofar. I don't know if anybody hears this, but we'll try it because the microphone cuts out. Okay. Have a good day, everyone. Today there will not be a class at 3:00. No class at 3:00. I'll try to record something and put it up. There won't be a class at 3 o'clock. Tomorrow there will be a class, 8:15, just like today. Shalom uvracha.
Recording.